So this is the 16 by 16 square that we talk about all the time. Okay? This guy is what you're going to do motion estimation on. This guy is what you're going to do motion estimations on. After you do motion estimations, each of these 8 by 8 blocks will be grouped together, fed into the DCT through quantization, through entropy coding, and coming out the bit stream. Okay? So this is the hierarchical layer of H.261, and this is the block structure. Okay? So this is at the pixel level. So I'm going all the way from the frame level to the group of blocks level, to the marker block level, to the block level, to the pixel level. Those are the hierarchy. Okay? There are two modes, intra-coding mode and inter-coding mode. Intra-coding mode means the marker block is encoded as is without motion compensation. So in the case that you cannot find motion, in the case that there's a scene change, in the beginning of the video, you will do intra-coding, no motion. Okay? Inter means you will do block matching motion estimation. The motion residue will be DCT encoded, just like we played around with MATLAB yesterday. And the motion vectors is differentially encoded. Okay, what does differentially encoded mean? You take two neighboring motion vectors, you encode the difference instead of, okay, so we try to save some bit rate. Okay, so this is the intra-coding mode. In the intra-coding mode, the block comes straight to the bit stream. You don't need to do any motion estimation on the blocks, okay? But you still need to decode the block because you need to keep the previously reconstructed frames in the buffer for motion estimation for the incoming frame. So you still need to do decoding right here, okay? At the decoder, it cannot get simpler than this. At the decoder, you just take the bit stream, inverse entropy coding, inverse quantization, inverse RDCT, go straight to the display. Okay? No motion compensation. Okay? The intercoding mode is slightly more complicated. You, for each of the block, you have to do the input to the motion estimation modules is the reference frame. This is the current block. Xn is a block, the 16 by 16 square block. So that block gets motion compensated, okay? And then the difference between the motion compensated blocks and the original block is encoded and go to the bit stream. And this is the decoder. Okay? So this is the motion estimation in H.261 is exactly the same as the motion estimation that we talked about maybe half an hour ago. Okay? Exactly the same structures. Now, this is interesting. Okay, you guys already have some questions on search window, the relationship between the search window and the performance of the video codec. And this slide is designed to demonstrate just that. Okay, this is a study from the International Standardization Committee when they established H.261. They test mainly video teleconferencing type of video, meaning there's mainly head and shoulders. People sitting around the room talking to each other. Okay, they don't do motion pictures or anything like that. So they do head and shoulder videos, and they investigate search window based on these diamonds. Okay, so take a look at option F. Option F means there is no motion compensation. What does that mean? Just take the frame difference, right? Just take the frame difference. There's no motion. You take the frame difference and you're done. So that is the 0-0 motion search. Okay, 0-0 motion search. You don't let your search go anywhere. Okay, you make it stay at exactly the same place. Now, option E is a diamond that is 2 up, 2 away, 2 up, down, 2 sideways. Okay, so 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, that's the diamond E, and then diamond C, diamond A, diamond D, so on and so forth. So you have different layers, different search window size. Okay, and then A is the entire square, 15 by 15 that we talk about all the time. Okay, So let's see what happens. Okay, this is the search region A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, hope that I'm missing F at the extreme side, but I don't know if you can see it right here, right here, right here, right here. Okay, F is always the worst performance, the worst performer of all. Obviously, okay? You're not doing any motion estimation. You cannot expect to compete, okay? So very bad, very bad, very bad, very bad, okay? Across all bit rates. Now, but then something interesting happens, okay? Take a look at option E, which is a very small diamond search windows, okay? This option E gives you this performance, okay? Comparing, okay, as you can see, this is almost as good as that one, this one, this one, and this one. So option E at very high bit rate works almost as well as the rest. Okay? Now, this only holds true for head and shoulder sequences, of course, because people, okay. And at high bit rate, what happens? At high bit rate, you can afford to send a lot of the residue. You can afford to send a lot of the residue. So if you can send a lot of the residue, you will get very, very close to the original signals, okay? So in that case, there's no difference. There's not much difference between all the options. Now, when you step down in bit rate, then E is not optimal anymore. Then you start having to, because you get squeezed a little tight now. Your communication channels only allow you to send a few number of bits. So then you need to do much better motion estimation to compete. Okay, and in that case, the BCD is still doing, ABC is still doing very well, but then D is already one level down and E is quite bad. Okay, so this is the higher you are, this is PSNR or signal to noise ratio. Okay, so you want to be high, you want to be high up. Now, if you go down to the lowest bit rates that H up to 6.1 allows you to do, which is 64 kilobits per second at 7.5 frame per second, then you need to do a lot fancier motion estimation. Okay. Another difference between these is the frame rate. This is 30 frames per second. This is 15 frames per second, this is 10 frames per second, and this is 7.5 frames per second. The more frames you have, the less difference between frames, right? Correct? Because you do finer sampling, and that's why you don't need a search window. You don't need a large search window if you have a high bit rate and you have high frame rates. So this experiment result also holds true for other type of sequences as well. Usually, if you have high frame rate and high bit rate, you don't need a large search window. You can just do a reasonable search window. And typically, your search window should always be around the 0, points, or the best approximated points that you come up with. Okay, and but by reducing the search window, motion estimation complexity can be significantly reduced, and that's one of the main strategies. Now, let me bypass this. This show you how to encode the motion vectors. So instead of sending the dx and the dy directly, okay, we should do dx and minus dx and minus 1. So you only encode the difference, and that tends to give you lower bit rate. Okay. So I have one student asked me this question during the break. How do you determine intra and inter? How do you know? Okay. Well, you do experimentation, and then you come up with an ad hoc threshold. And the threshold happens to be behaving like this. Okay? 64 here, 64 here. This is the variance of the block, and this is the MSE, which is defined as the